So you're really talking about trying to focus more on what can you do and really expand this user experience. User experience or UX, as the tech buzzword has been around for years. Broadly speaking, what UX means is the sum of a customer's thoughts, feelings, and interactions with a company or with a product. I'm going to ask this question to each of you just as a general statement. I know you've been working with Ignition for many, many years, but think to your broad experience in the industry, many, many years. Mark, I think you said 28. I mean, you're all up lots of years experience. How could the SCADA user experience be improved when you think about what it was and as it begins to move forward? So what areas could be better about that from the traditional SCADA experience? And Pete, let's go ahead and start with you.
From our perspective, systems are becoming more and more standards-based, and these standards evolve over time. They're not standing still. So it's necessary that your SCADA platform evolves along with these standards. In the 2+ years we've been working with IA, they've really demonstrated a commitment to keeping pace with these evolving standards, both operating systems, device drivers, and various industry standards.
Thanks for that, Pete. And David, how about your thoughts?
I think that we're a relatively young company, and we don't have a lot of legacy sort of attitudes about what a SCADA system should do or can't do or ought not to do. And the basic attitude is that why shouldn't we be able to do what we want to do? So rather than looking at the traditional systems and saying, oh, that's what's available to us, our attitude is mostly, this is what we want to do, let's find a way to get it done, and Ignition makes that possible.
Thanks, David. I think you bring up a good point there. If you think about the perspective you bring to a tool or a tool set, is you want to be able to ask the question, what can we do and how can we do it? We don't want to spend all our time focused on what can't we do. So I think it's a good viewpoint to have towards looking at a SCADA system is we want it to be able to empower what we want to do. Mark, how about your thoughts?
Oh, I think it's the accessibility of the data and as I said before here, there's just no limitation on it. For instance, if you take existing SCADA and throw it up against the ISA 95 model, it's very clear where it cuts off and you cannot integrate further without a lot of work involved. You take Ignition and put up against the ISA 95 model, and you just have seamless integration through all layers. So the ability to integrate freely and not have any limitations is there with it.
That's, I think, a good point, Mark. And you mentioned it with the ISA 95 model. Pete mentioned it in terms of standards. I think if you're going to empower an entire industry, you have to have a tool set that allows you to move to more of those kind of standards-based approaches to make things work so people can use all of what they have and have some basic foundation of standards. But Chris, how about you?
Trimex has grown up with old SCADA, and we just accepted it for what it was, but there was always a clunkiness about the different softwares that you would need to get or the licensing model, and you're always getting capped out with users or connectivity or what databases you could access, and there was just always a lacking feeling to it. And so it's nice to see new SCADA and how it basically fixes all of those problems with licensing and connectivity.